Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, it's on. Well, it's not technically on, but they're talking like it's on. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more fighting, delivering you guys the latest and greatest in fighting and boxing. Make sure you like this video, share the video, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And also follow me on social media. Right now, I'm on my Instagram account. And I had to make this video. This is fresh off the presses. Conor McGregor, you go to his verified Instagram account. Blue check mark means verified. He just had a post where he's going at Floyd. Now, I don't know if the fight is done, but they're acting like it is because it's non-stop. In case you guys missed it, the video's on the channel. Fox Undisputed used my video. They had the Boxingego.com logo and they were talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. Floyd Mayweather had this rant on Instagram Live and he was like, Conor McGregor's a bitch. Did you quit, you little bitch? And he was doing all this, people remixing it, talking about it. Now, this just happened. Conor McGregor just posted this, and it's a picture of him and Floyd Mayweather, Photoshop. And the caption's simple, 5 minutes ago. I am going to break his face. You'll do none. You'll do fucking none. Who the fuck? Hey, Floyd Mayweather. I don't know what you're thinking. Man, the way they're talking, they're making me want to see the fight. Like I said before, I sound like Floyd. Like I said before, if Conor McGregor, he ain't never made 300. Ask him when he made 300 mil in one night. I done the livest gates. So, I mean, I just want to see it. These guys are talking back and forth. Dana White just did an interview with TMZ and he was talking big shit too. He says, because Floyd said he would slap Conor McGregor, and Dana White was like, nah, you'll get destroyed in a street fight and you would never do that to Conor McGregor. Dana White, I mean, obviously he's going to side with the home team, his cash cow. The guy's making him a ton of money in the UFC. I've generated millions of revenue for the company. You know what I mean? And that's Conor McGregor. But he was going a little bit above and beyond. I'll try to put the link to the TMZ interview. He was saying stuff like Conor McGregor would not only in a street fight beat Floyd Mayweather. Okay, that's cool. I mean, he's trained in mixed martial arts. That's cool. I have no problem with that. We're not, you know what I mean? In a street fight, things are different, no rules and shit. But he also said that he'll destroy and murder. I think that's his exact words. Dana White said that Conor McGregor would murder Floyd Mayweather's security, all of his security. Like, I mean, Conor McGregor, I fuck with Conor McGregor. I think he's a good fighter. I've already told you guys my thoughts. If this goes down in boxing, I don't see Conor McGregor outlasting Floyd Mayweather. Floyd has beaten top level Hall of Fame boxers, people who Pacquiao. I believe he's gonna pay me. You know what I mean? This dude fought since he was a kid in the Philippines, fighting bigger guys, moving up 8 divisions, more than anyone in history, and Floyd reduced him to landing 71 punches. So, do I believe in boxing rules Conor McGregor has a chance? No. And that's, you could say, oh, Conor McGregor, he was boxing in Ireland. It's different because he hasn't been dedicated to boxing only. You know what I mean? There's other things involved. I've seen Conor McGregor train the Mac Life and all kinds of stuff. He's not just focusing on boxing. I've seen him sparring that tape that leaked with Chris Van Herdeen, a guy Errol Spence Jr. chopped up. So realistically, not just Floyd, the best boxer of this generation. I don't see Conor McGregor beating a lot of guys that are top level in or around that weight division. Floyd, Errol Spence, Canelo. I mean, I just don't see it. And the same goes with Floyd Mayweather. He is not trained in the martial arts of like mixed martial arts. So I give him no chance in the cage. If he got in that cage, he wouldn't know what to do. How's he gonna check a leg kick? And he ain't never been kicked purposefully in a boxing fight. You know what I'm saying? It's just different stuff. How is he gonna get out of standard rear naked chokes and shit, and he's never been trained for that? That doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? But clearly Floyd is the A side, so it would be dictated on his terms. He's the guy who has more history in his respective sport in terms of being on top, 19, 20 years, undefeated. He's the guy that has all the pay-per-view. Conor McGregor is doing well for himself, but let's keep it 100. He's not done anything remotely near the accolades and achievements of Floyd Mayweather. You guys can be groupies, you can get mad, you can say it's racism, whatever you want to say, but facts are facts. Again, like Floyd said, name a time Conor McGregor got 300 million in a fight. Name a time he got 32 million guaranteed for a fight. I don't even know if he has made that when it was all said and done, right? Floyd Mayweather has been doing this, fighting Canelo, De La Hoya. He was getting pretty pennies in those fights. Pacquiao was just retarded types of purses and stuff like that. And he was getting 32 million guaranteed, win, lose, or draw. If a cut opened up and the fight was went to the scorecards after 4 rounds, Floyd would get $32 million versus Robert Guerrero. Conor McGregor is fighting good. The UFC, they don't pussyfoot around. And especially this year, they've been doing a great job keeping their champions active. I mean, you see Ronda Rousey's coming back at the end of the month, and she's fighting a champion. Long layoff for not been stopped by Holly Holm and all that. Leg kick to the head, and she's coming back and fighting the champion. So shout out to the UFC for making very competitive matches. And it's a bit easier than in boxing because they can mandate who fights who and things of that sort. They have a lot of, Dana White and the Furtada brothers or whatever, they're in control of their sport and all the fighters. That's why, to the point where the endorsements went away and you've seen people like Stitch get fired. Now Reebok is the sole endorser, proprietor, or whatever. So that's just what it is. The UFC it's a tight organization, and they lead in the MMA industry. They're bigger than Bellator and things like that. But the point being, it's easier to make those competitive matches, not making excuses. That's a fact. If one person, one promoter in boxing controlled everything, then they would be able to make whatever matches they want. And I think, like I said, for Conor McGregor, he's never done the things. He's a good fighter. He's clearly the cash cow in the UFC, but he has yet to fulfill the shoes. Like, when he fought Chad Mendes, I believe, he was the first fighter. See, I fuck with Conor. He's drinking and he's like a tough Irish lad. You know what I mean? He's himself. So I always respect that. People that are unique. But when he fought Chad Mendes, I think it might have been Nate Diaz. I forgot which fight, but he was the first fighter in UFC history to get a guaranteed $1 million. First fighter in history. So that goes to show you all the great UFC fighters they've had, from John Jones, Anderson Silva, to anybody, Chael Sonnen, Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, you know what I mean? All these, Chad Mendes, all these people that they've had in the organization, and welterweight king like George St. Pierre, and none of them got a guaranteed $1 million except for this man, Conor McGregor. So he's clearly making a noise and buzz, but you can't, when we're looking at pure accomplishments and A-sides, he can't be mentioned in the same breath with Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather has all of the highest pay-per-view accomplishments. Top 3, De La Hoya, Canelo, and then the number 1 is Manny Pacquiao, of course. Conor McGregor doesn't have that. He has solid numbers, like he's doing probably 1.4, 1.5 million in his last couple of fights, things like that, which is great. It's showing that you can still make money on pay-per-view. He's making a lot of money and stuff, but it's a little bit different. So again, like I said, Conor McGregor would chew Floyd up in the octagon. That's his home. That's what he specializes in, and Floyd doesn't. And then I think Floyd would chew Conor McGregor up in boxing. It's really not rocket science to me. You know what I mean? You put anybody out of their element, and they're gonna have a culture shock. They're not gonna know what to do, because it doesn't. Like, here's an example. Let's say I cover boxing, so journalist, reporter, whatever you want me to call, go to fights, cover the fights, give you guys the news on YouTube. Now, not everyone's cut out for this. Some people are good behind the scenes. So if we switched and I went to Best Buy and took someone who works at Geek Squad and said, hey, now you cover the boxing fights. You're the YouTube reporter. You be a YouTube reporter for 6 months, and I'll work Geek Squad for 6 months. You know what I mean? Initially, without the proper training, I'm going to be like a deer in headlight. I don't know I'm pretty tech savvy, but I don't know all the stuff that they know in Geek Squad, and I haven't been trained for that, right? And then the same thing, if you don't know shit about boxing, how are you gonna report on boxing and do what I do? So it's really not rocket science that each person in their respective industry would do better. It just makes all the sense in the world. Conor McGregor's a hell of a fighter, but he's an MMA fighter. There's certain little nuances and stuff that you have to have in boxing, because you can't use your feet like you do in the UFC. You can't kick someone like upside the damn head like you can do in the UFC. You can use your feet to pivot and to shift and get in position and stuff like that in boxing, but you can't use it as a weapon. Otherwise, you'll be disqualified. You could do that in the UFC. Different glove sizes, all kinds of differences like that. So it's going to be different in each sport. But I like what Conor McGregor is doing, because no matter what, he's building excitement. I do think he took a play, and I might even make a comparison video if you guys want, but I do think he's taken, as much as him and Floyd are going at each other, Conor McGregor has clearly studied and taken chapters out of the Floyd Mayweather playbook, and I can prove it. You know what I mean? From the high roller lifestyle, moving to Vegas. He was on tape on UFC Embedded watching Floyd's dad, Floyd Sr., and getting tips when he was training Chris Eubank Jr. It's on tape. And not to mention that he actually used it in the fight. I think it was in the Eddie Alvarez fight. I seen him using like pull counters and stuff like that. And I'm not saying the Mayweathers are the first and only people to ever use a pull counter, but we know, I mean, he's watching the tape, so that's a telltale sign. And in addition, we know certain people are famous for certain things, right? Like Conor McGregor is smart. That's why he's dressing like Joe Frazier and wearing the mink with the red. That's why I think he dressed like Ali or something like that. And he's picking up these little things. He put his hands behind the back like Roy Jones Jr. I think he pays attention to other great fighters, other historic fighters, and some of them are boxers. Roy Jones, watch his fights. He was in that fight. I forgot who he was fighting, but it was a ranked guy, and he put his hands behind his back. And Jim Lampley was like, "Why were you grabbing the ropes?" Jim, I wasn't grabbing the ropes. He said, I wasn't grabbing the rope. I'm chicken fighting. Don't do that. Bow. You know what I'm saying? And Roy was notorious for doing like showmanship stuff like that. So Conor McGregor, I know for a fact, you guys can believe whatever you want, he studies other fighters, you know what I mean? And some of them are in the boxing world. And he takes little things and picks from it. And that's what everyone does. I think all the greats study. Like if you're an artist, you probably study Van Gogh or Picasso or other people before you. And then it's all, you just stir it into a pot plus some of your own design, and then you come out with whatever it comes out with, and that's the final product. But I like Conor McGregor. I think he's doing what he's supposed to be doing in his organization. As far as him fighting Floyd Mayweather, I mean, it sounds like it's a done deal just based on their going back and forth. I'm gonna break his face and I'm gonna slap the shit out of him when I see you. And, you know what I'm saying? So it sounds like it, but the biggest holdup to me is Dana White. If you watch that TMZ interview, Dana White is saying, "Oh, it will never happen. Floyd slapping him, which would never happen, has a better chance of happening than the fight." So realistically, I know Dana White. I don't know him, but I think Dana White realizes that Floyd would destroy and convincingly beat Conor McGregor in boxing rules. So he's not going to put his cash cow in that situation to get embarrassed or potentially embarrassed by an actual boxer in boxing, because he doesn't gain from that. His organization doesn't gain from that. And the UFC already has a high turnover and there's not that good of a retention for its champions. You know what I mean? You see guys like Anthony Pettis and they'll become a champion, then they'll get stopped. Or Rafael dos Anjos, Conor McGregor already lost in the UFC. Ronda Rousey got her head kicked in by Holly Holm and you know what I mean, was getting dominated. So you see Eddie Alvarez lost his belt to Conor. It's the turnaround is happens dramatically because there's different ways to beat, and this is the Frazier that I was talking about. Joe Frazier had a very similar fit, but it's so many different ways that you can win in the UFC, and you have to be well versed and trained, like takedown defense and different things like that. So there's different ways. So it really, to me, I think the biggest holdup would be Dana White. Conor McGregor's a fighter. Floyd's a fighter. I'm not really worried about the fighters. I think the fighters will fight. Obviously, again, Floyd's not going to give up that much ground. He doesn't give up. He didn't even concede to Pacquiao. Like, he could have said, oh, I don't care about the drug test. But he stood firm. He's like, I'm the A side. I know I'm the A side. And he stands his ground. And rightfully so. He's proven more and has higher records and stuff than these people. And some people are gonna get mad, like, oh, why are you talking about money? It's not all about money. Yes, it is. Like Jackie Chan said in Rush Hour. Yes, it is. It is about money, because at the end of the day, that's how it's always been determined who is the cash cow. You know what I'm saying? At one minute it was Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., then it was De La Hoya, then it was Floyd Mayweather. The Canelo, now he has the torch. He's the biggest draw. So of course, your stats and what you've accomplished, your live gates, your how many times you sold over 1 million pay-per-view, that has to be factored in. Plus, you're undefeated. You know what I mean? You have to factor in all those things to determine who is the A side. Conor McGregor, he's more of a newbie than Floyd. See, look, Conor McGregor dressed like Biggie. He took the Notorious moniker. Conor's smart. He's a businessman. He knows, like, I don't know. I've never been to Ireland. I used to live in the UK. I used to live in England, but I've never been to Ireland. But I don't know what the culture's like, but he's clearly, he's Irish, and he's a prideful Irish, but he's clearly assimilated, and he does certain things that it shows he has some flavor. He has some swag to him. You know what I'm saying? Like the Biggie stuff. And there's a one UFC special, and he was on the bike, and he did the Snoop Dogg, la da 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 da, it's the motherfucking D-O-double-G. So Conor got swag. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. I like Conor McGregor, and he's a good fighter. But again, to fight Floyd in boxing, it's out of his element, and maybe he feels he has what it takes, but I don't think he's a good enough boxer to beat a guy who beats like Hall of Fame boxers. Right? And unless Floyd got old overnight and he wasn't the same fighter and hasn't looked like he has for 19 years. Like, again, guys like Shane Mosley came up in the amateur circuit. De La Hoya is Oscar De La Hoya is a gold medalist. So none of these guys could beat Floyd. You mean to tell me someone who's like a good striker, kind of sort of boxer, but really a MMA fighter is going to have the technique? It's different, because I see, like, even the heavy, like, look at the heavyweights. Aside from power, like one shot, what heavyweight in the UFC do you think would clearly dominate a guy that's in boxing, in only boxing, right? What UFC heavyweight do you feel can outbox Luis Ortiz and beat him up in boxing rules only? So it's not even just a Conor McGregor thing, or Deontay Wilder, or Anthony Joshua. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily just a Conor McGregor thing. It's just a difference of sport. But I think the biggest holdup would be Dana White. I don't think Dana White wants that work, because he's even said on record, this fight ain't happening unless there's punches, elbows, and kicks involved, because he wants to give his fighter an advantage. What he knows, what he's comfortable with. And he knows Floyd wouldn't be comfortable with that. But again, Floyd, being the A side, is not going to agree to Conor McGregor's terms. He's not the A side, and that's just kind of how it goes. So I don't think we'll see the fight, but the way they're talking and going at each other, they're making it sound like we're going to see the fight. But I think the biggest obstacle is Dana White. I think the same thing kind of like with the Mayweather-Pacquiao. I think Bob Arum was a big obstacle in that particular fight, because you got to look at these promoters, man. These promoters know, like, damn, this dude's making us a lot of money. Every time Conor McGregor speaks, it's a quotable. His specials are getting this ratings. His weigh-ins are having a sea of people. He's selling merchandise. He's doing 1.6 million or whatnot on pay-per-view. So they want to preserve that. And again, it's different. I'm trying to explain to you guys the game. Let's say Eddie Alvarez, let's say there's a chance. I didn't even think Eddie Alvarez would beat Conor, but he was the champion, so you got to at least respect that. But in that equation, Dana White still wins, because Eddie Alvarez let's say he knocked out Conor or he beat Conor, right, via decision. Eddie Alvarez is still a UFC fighter. So either way, he comes up and wins, because no matter who wins, you still get to see a UFC fighter win. But if Conor faces Floyd Mayweather, then, and he loses to Mayweather, which in boxing rules, most people would agree he would lose, how does that benefit the UFC? Simple mathematics. You guys gotta, what do they say? You have to be woke, whatever the fuck they talk. Yeah, you guys gotta be woke. Simple mathematics. It does not benefit the UFC organization in any way if Conor McGregor takes not just another loss, but a loss outside of their own company. You know what I mean? A loss to a whole different company. And Floyd's a trash talker, so he'd probably be bragging about, I told you that boy wasn't shit, you know, because he the Lucky Charms mascot. So, you know what I mean? Floyd gonna be Floyd, and then it does nothing for the UFC organization. However, like, let's say Ronda Rousey's a big cash cow and Holly Holm wins. Holly Holm's still a UFC fighter. Same thing with Top Rank versus the Mayweather-Pacquiao. That fight didn't happen for years, but at the same time, Bob Arum was still making a bunch of in-house fights for Pacquiao. Pacquiao, Bradley, 1, 2, 3, because he still wins. If Bradley wins, if Pacquiao wins, Top Rank wins, because they're both Top Rank fighters. Simple mathematics. Let me know what you guys think of Conor McGregor's latest threat to Floyd Mayweather in response to Floyd Mayweather's threat saying he'll slap this man. Let me know what would happen. I don't know. Conor McGregor right now, he's having a kid. I think it's his first kid, so congrats to the Notorious baby who's about to be born, coming into a nice lifestyle that Conor McGregor and family have made. So he's taking time off, so he's not going to be in the ring until probably mid next year. A lot of people want to see Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's a tough ass fight for Conor McGregor, probably the toughest fight. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I think he's probably not going back down to featherweight. I think they stripped his belt, just fluctuating to 170 twice, then fighting at 155. I don't think it really be sensible for him to drop back down now and then fight at 145. So I don't know. Let me know if you think the Floyd fight is actually feasible. Who do you want to see Conor McGregor fight next? Drop that in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off.